Me, a bro.
Yep.
He, a dude.
That's good stuff. All right. Let's try it. Okay. Welcome to the We Will Journey podcast. We're talking about faith and life as it happens, and not the glossy exterior we wish it was. What, man? What did I do wrong?
I think you said it's because all the things I was thinking about before. But we can edit that. You got that part good.
Oh.
You got it good. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay, just...
Now it's your turn.
Good.
Yeah.
Wait. We're going to get under the surface. I should have said all those things before. We should have waited down and dirty until after we read this part.
Okay.
Okay. Wait. We get under the surface and explore the down and dirty. Okay. Maybe we should. It doesn't have to be word for word, right?
No. I mean, I gave an interpretation.
Okay. All right. We get under the surface and explore the down and dirty of life as it pertains to our beliefs, our relationships, politics, and absolutely everything else.
Oh, there we go. That was good. All right.
When I'm dead, laying in my coffin, all my friends all gather round. They can say I'm just sleeping, good Lord, the sweet peace I have found.
3, 2, 1.
Well, hello, Seth.
Hello. It's good to hear your voice. I'm glad that you just got done at the Cheesecake Factory, and now
our conversation can officially begin. I tell you, my wife, she makes the best stuff. She's always looking for new things to make. And so I feel very blessed. We both actually love to cook. So we both have a passion for probably her more so baking. She loves baking breads and desserts and those kind of things. And anyways, she made a blueberry lemon cheesecake with candied lemons on top.
Candied lemons.
And have you ever had candied lemons?
I think so.
Good.
So I'm trying to think. I'm trying to picture. Is it kind of like they're? I mean, they're not hard, right? They're sort of a soft, sort of like. Is it the rind more? Yeah.
Yeah. You just basically cut lemon with the rind on into very thin slices, and then candy them. And oh man, so good. Yeah, but so that was my breakfast this morning because you and I were supposed to talk, and I didn't have a lot of time to eat, and I was hungry. And there's a blueberry lemon cheesecake staring at me in the fridge. And
that's like
I couldn't.
That's
I
the
couldn't say
Godfather
no.
offer, the one that you can't refuse. So I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I can't blame you. That's just. I mean, I wish I had a cheesecake sitting in my fridge.
I mean, who doesn't? Everybody wishes they had a cheesecake sitting in their
there's people
fridge.
that are allergic to milk products, or people that are lactose intolerant, and would have some issues if they did that. So I don't know. I mean, we did make a cheesecake one. We made some cheesecake once because Liam can't have milk products, so we did make one on a without day. Without day. And it was okay. He wasn't a big fan, so.
What did it taste like? Did it taste more like goat cheese or what?
No. It was like, with you can get like a substitute cream cheese, which is made from plant products, I guess.
Oh.
And it doesn't taste too bad on its own as like a spread, but it just didn't have quite the same consistency. And I didn't think it was horrible, but obviously it doesn't have the creaminess. You know, that's I think that's the thing with the dairy, especially with milk, that you don't get a lot of these. You know, with dairy milk, you don't get a lot of the plant-based stuff. It's just that creaminess, and when you make things, and try to, you know, do your best to fake it, it's not quite the same. Same thing with like fake butter. You know, you just don't quite get that. Just that creamy, delicious.
Yeah. Yeah, real butter is the way to go.
Real butter is...
I remember when probably in the 80s, margarine, spreadable country crock margarine became the thing. Maybe in the early 80s. And everything then got billed as this is also healthier. And we now know that actual butter is healthier than
plastic
whatever
butter.
Margarine. Plastic, whatever margarine's made from. And it's just so funny how when things come out, science may not have been that great. I don't know. I don't know what the issue was, but everything was billed as like a health food. You know, do this to be healthy. And 20, 30 years down the line, it's like, no, don't do that.
Stop. By the way, stop eating that.
Yeah, stop. That's probably harmful.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead. Go ahead and not do that.
I meant to say something sooner, but we went too far down the rabbit hole.
I mean, there's crazy things that happen in our world. Like, for instance, cigarette companies, tobacco companies. Obviously, they've had a hard time in the United States. Everyone knows how bad smoking is for your health. We've created a lot of laws that where you can't smoke. You can't smoke in really any establishment anymore. And for a while, I think you could smoke in cigar shops. I don't even know if you can do that anymore. But, yeah. But, so while all of this is going on in the United States, there's also countries where doctors are getting paid by tobacco companies to prescribe cigarettes to their patients.
What?
Oh, yes. Yes, this happens in kind of like third world countries. And it's just, it blows your mind that while all of this is going on around kind of the Western civilization, in third world countries with low access to information and what have you, doctors were prescribing cigarettes to patients and they were getting paid buku bucks to do so.
That's incredible.
And isn't that just blows your mind to think about how differently, like your worldview based on where you live would be. Like if you didn't know any better, you're like, oh, these are healthy. Like these, I should be doing this. You remember the smoking baby? Did you ever see the smoking baby videos?
That sounds like something you would watch. No, I don't know if I have.
Everybody watched it. It wasn't just me. You don't hear about the smoking baby. I mean, he made the news. I think he was like on 60 Minutes. Everybody was talking about smoking baby.
Voice, or?
Well, I don't know, but he was the chubbiest little kid you've ever seen in your life. It was oddly cute and really, really disturbing. It was just like, what is happening here? He was probably a little bit like Boss Baby.
Okay.
Have you seen that movie, Boss Baby?
I am aware of it, and I am aware that there's, I think, even a sequel that I...
Okay, yeah. I think there might be, but...
coming in the future.
Anyways. Yeah. Anyways, it's just so interesting that Yeah, based on where you live and how much wealth your country has, and information gets so skewed. So it's hard to some extent you can understand all the conspiracy theory, right? Because information, it's hard to really even know what that is anymore. It's hard to know based on your context who to believe, what to believe, why to believe. It's just like that movie that Julia Roberts was in, Erin Brockovich.
I never saw that either, unfortunately, but I do know.
You never saw that either? Yeah, but it's just large corporation cover up. They're trying to make money, and so they cover up the truth and they spin the truth, and that's basically become our culture. We've become a culture where the truth is constantly being spun in order to benefit either some person, a group of people, or some entity. And people are getting pretty jaded to that, So anything that kind of falls in line with that, I think that makes conspiracy easy to create. Because if you can create a narrative where a person, a group of people, or an entity is spinning the truth, people want to believe that because they're so fed up with it. So if you can use that as the foundation for some sort of conspiracy, I think you're automatically going to have people that really gravitate to that. So that's where you get flat earthers, like the flat earth stuff, the QAnon stuff that's taking place right now. All this stuff, just kind of the core foundation of all that is we're being lied to. And it's very appealing to people.
Shame on what fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice kind of thing. Like if you've experienced being duped or whatever once, or you've seen like a conspiracy going on, or not necessarily conspiracy, but you see like the government has not necessarily been so clean and open with some of the things they've been doing, or like you said, big tobacco companies, or like a big one was sugar. The sugar industry was a huge one that, like going back to the margarine butter thing. I watched this or listened to this long podcast a few years ago about interviewing this health expert, scientist who basically went through like the history of the whole, like kind of the fat versus sugar sort of thing, and how it used to be cholesterol was this huge thing. Don't eat eggs, don't eat eggs, don't eat eggs, don't drink milk, all this stuff. Don't eat butter. And a lot of these other things started popping up, which had tons of sugar in them. And then like come to find out, basically the sugar industry is just kind of behind a lot of it. A lot of those things. And now, and everybody kind of, probably some people still don't. I know some people still don't think eggs are the best. But for the most part, people kind of figured out, actually eggs are.
If you don't think eggs are the best, I mean, you've never had an egg, apparently. I don't know. But eggs are wonderful.
Or I don't know. I mean, I can also see on the other side, like, some of those things are kind of pretty far out there. But at the same time, if you've been kind of under one impression for a lot of years, because that's kind of what you've always heard from the experts or from people you should trust, and then all of a sudden you find out like, oh no, maybe not. And then it's easier to, to.
I tell you what, you're talking about something that's really near and dear to my heart. I have a brownie recipe, and it's called Dave's, or not Dave, Dad's.
Who's Dave?
Dave's favorite. It's Dad's favorite brownies, and if you've never watched. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing. You put the sugar in a bowl, right? And then you put melted butter into the sugar as your mixer's going around. So just imagine, this white sugar. Now it gets the butter added to it, and it kind of turns like a yellow granular type mix. Now you add eggs into that one at a time. One at a time. You don't do it all at once.
The yolk,
and
right?
It just
the cholesterol. Or?
Absolutely not. Yolk goes right in, and it becomes this smooth, velvety, mixture. And it's just an amazing thing to watch. I love making those brownies. I don't do it very often, but I love making them because I just love watching them kind of combine and become this really beautiful, little creamy, basically sugar, eggs, and butter. It's just so wonderful to watch the whole thing come together. And then, of course, you add cocoa and vanilla to it. You throw it in a pan for 25 minutes, and boom, you've got
flour.
Huh? Oh yeah, there's a little bit of flour in there, but it's not a lot. The flour is actually much less. You actually sift the cocoa powder and the flour together, and that also makes it just right, the right consistency when it comes out of the oven. Yeah, you want to sift it. If you don't sift it, you're not going to have the same brownie.
Now, do you put like some dark chocolate in there or bittersweet chocolate or anything? Or do you just do the powder?
Email. That's right, I said email. Seems like everybody's got one these days, even us. So if you want to get in contact with us or chat about the weather, you can shoot us an email at wewilljourney.connect@gmail.com. Look forward to hearing from you or reading from you.
What I normally do at the end of it, just cocoa powder, is then I will, as soon as it comes out of the oven, I will put chocolate chips on the top of it, let it melt, and then you just, spread it around after it's melted. Mm-hmm.
Man, it's actually amazing, right? We were talking about cooking at the start, but if you cook at home, you realize like how simple, like basically the most delicious and wonderful foods have the most simple ingredients. They're not always simple to make, right?
Yeah.
But, like you don't need. That's one thing that should make you hesitant, right? Buying some of this stuff, like we talk about margarine or whatever, when there's like 1,500 ingredients, which should be a simple, a simple thing. So that's what, that's what. Also, just when you described that recipe, I just think about how few ingredients you need to make such delicious, scrumptious items. Mm-hmm.
Well, so much of it has to do with how you cook it and how you prepare it. Like like just sifting your flour makes a huge difference. And but you think about simplicity. Well, make a steak, right? Well, you don't need a lot to make a steak. Maybe some salt, pepper, and I like to cook mine in butter. I don't know how you cook your steaks, but I don't really gravitate. I don't gravitate to the grill any longer. I've kind of moved away from grilling. Yep, I throw them butter, cast iron. And have you seen the technique where you take the melted butter and you kind of take a spoon, you keep the butter going over the top of the steak, you flip it, you get a nice sear on it, then you throw it in the oven to finish it off.
Yep.
Or you can do it the other way around. You can do oven, then sear. Anthony Bourdain, I think, tried both at one time in a show that I watched.
I've never done the opposite. I mean, what you just described. What I do on the grill, though, the nice thing with the grill too is because you can kind of create that environment without having to switch to the oven. Because usually, mostly everything I grill now, I do the method where just half of the grill has coals on it. So you put, like the right side is covered in hot coals on the bottom, and the left side there's no coals. And so it's like an oven setting on the left, and the right you get direct heat. And so with steak, you do the same thing where you get that nice sear, and then you move it over to the left, put the lid on, and then it has that oven thing.
And very nice. Very nice. Yeah. Yeah. When you come this summer, we're going to have to do some cooking together, I think. I think when you're here, maybe that's what we'll do. We'll just cook together for a while.
There's definitely not a reason just to talk about it and never do it again. But yeah.
That's right.
Last time you came visit, we made those French onion bread bowls. I remember.
Oh, man, those were so good. We should make those again. French onion is the best.
We did we went to the market and got all these delicious cheeses and meats and did a raclette. That's how we...
Oh, yeah. That was so much fun. That little device you have is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. It's basically a broiler.
Mm-hmm. With a grill thing on top with like a stone hot plate basically on top of it, yeah.
When you come, you should bring me one of those and I'll pay you for it. That would be fun to have.
I will see how much space I have. But
yeah, if you have room. About how much do they cost? I know it's in euros, but how many euros?
$50, I'm guessing. From what I've seen. And we got ours a long time ago, but if I just kind of have a number in my head, I think it's around 50, 60. Maybe even cheaper.
What is it called? I'm guessing I could get it on Amazon.
You might be able to. There's Amazon has kind of gotten into everything. It's raclette, RACLETTE, I think. But I think it's originally from Switzerland.
Well, here you go. Here's a raclette. So, yeah, you can get them. Man, they're kind of pricey though. $50 to $100 bucks. $50 to $100 is what it looks like. Yeah. So don't worry about it.
I can
get them over here.
Stone, I like the stone. A lot of them have like a stone, the stone hot plate part that goes on top. It's not as messy, and a lot of times they come with like these. Like ours has a stone and a non-stick part. But the non-stick is just not great. It's like the Teflon stuff. It's not great quality. And so that stuff starts to come off, and you gotta be really careful with it. And it's a pain in the rear end to clean.
In the keister,
and I like that stone. Super easy to clean, and you don't have to worry about scratching it and whatever. So, but
okay.
I
found a raclette party grill, and the whole top surface is stone. And then underneath has the broiler, and on the sides it's wood. It has a very European feel to it. That could be nice. And it's on sale. Get this, $30 off. $119.95. No. Not today. You will not pay that today. Folks, get in while it's good. $89.95.
$89.95. So we are now the shopping network. Is that what it's called?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
If you call, what number do they need to call? What number? Call you?
Call me. Give me your credit card number.
And I will.
I promise. I'll take care of it for you.
Some Gouda cheese.
Yeah. Now for a limited time. Call now. Get a block of Gouda. So, yeah.
Wait.
Oh, man.
What is that? Gouda plus a butter knife with.
Are you just hearing this, Seth? Is this just coming down right now? Is this new news?
In the next
this
10
is just
minutes,
happening.
A butter knife with Thyssen engraved on the handle.
Oh my word! This is so wonderful.
This
is so wonderful, people. This doesn't happen often. The butter knife, I've got it at home, and I love it. I love the butter knife.
And if it's not engraved, it'll at least be Sharpied. It'll at least have a nice Thyssen and black Sharpie.
Yeah, it's so nice. So my wife, she has a relative that actually does infomercials.
Really? Maybe is it someone that's famous?
No, she's not famous yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if someday she becomes this very well-known infomercial pitcher. But it is a lot of fun. I could see myself enjoying pitching commercials because it is so silly and over the top, and that it would be kind of fun.
Especially if you get to just cook delicious food the whole time. You know, the ones that, like,
yeah.
You've been to the state fair, obviously, right? You've seen those guys. They do this, the Child Master pans or the, like, Tupperware, stuff like.
Oh yeah, or the knife demos. And they're, like, cooking You've seen the knife demos,
try it, and that sounds more fun.
Yeah.
That sounds more fun than like towels or pillows or something.
Or now, apparently it's Tupperware, right? Tupperware. I call it Tupper with a B. Did you know this? It's actually with a P, Tupperware. Yes. But I've always just called it Tupperware. There's certain things that have not totally transitioned from childhood. As a child, you hear a word, and then it just kind of sticks with you. You never even really take a look at the word itself. You just go with it.
Wow.
I've never typed the word Tupperware into a text message, nor have I written a paper about Tupperware. So with my wife thinks it's very funny that I mispronounce it, and now she throws it in my face all the time. So what I tend to do now is I call it a plastic container with a lid.
I was going to say that it's...
I no longer call it Tupperware. It's just a plastic container with a lid.
It is a funny one to not know, just because it's kind of the international name for plastic, kitchenware, where, in the same sense that for a lot of people, Coke is just soda, all soda. Or for a lot of people, like here, they say Pampers for like all diapers, for a lot of diapers. Or maybe not here. Where do you say Pampers? Do you say Pampers in the States instead of diapers? I don't know. Kleenex. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's basically the holy grail of marketing. If you can create a product or create a name for a product or a name awareness, that the name of a particular product basically speaks to the entire product line itself. Just anybody that makes that product.
And we just got to see a transition, which is one of the few I've ever experienced, where Skype became Zoom. Like now, nobody even talks or mentions Skype, and now everyone just talks about Zoom. I think in general for video calling, you know what I mean? And that's
very good point. That's true.
In the last year and a half or whatever, because I used to never. I didn't even know what Zoom was, and I said Skype for FaceTime, for Facebook mess, whatever. You just say like, I got a Skype call.
Yeah.
And sometimes I still do, still do. But, and people are like, what is this Skype you speak of? What?
What's never heard of it. Now, did you notice Microsoft has their own product they're trying to pitch now? Have you seen that?
Something with the video calling or something like a toothbrush or?
Yeah, it's supposed to be better than Zoom, of course. Like, this is better. This is what you want. Microsoft Groups or Teams or something. I can't remember what they call it exactly, but they should just call it Zoom. They'd probably have more success.
Like Zoom with two S's. Zoom
2.0. But yeah. But you're right. That is interesting. That is a transition that we just witnessed.
Well, I mean, this whole pandemic has probably brought a lot of transitions in a very quick pace. For example, and I don't know how, in the States, I think he's probably maybe even some places farther along, depending on where you live. I don't know. But like the paying with just like the touch and go rather than paying with cash or whatever. Like there was places during the pandemic where you could not pay with cash because they didn't want you to have that transaction touching things, or it's like
filthy, filthy money, a little thin piece of germs.
Like if you would give them coins, they would slap them out of your hand.
Yeah.
Do you know how many living organisms are on that 50-cent piece?
Yeah. You go to Starbucks now, and it's so funny because everybody handles what you have, right? Everybody touches it. it's being made and whatever.
Everyone sticks their finger in the whipped cream.
Yeah. Oh, that tastes good. And then they'll put a lid on it, and then they put it in a big coffee mug, and then they hand it out through the drive-thru. This is what I'm talking about, drive-thru. Then they hand it to you in this stupid coffee mug, and I'm like, y'all have touched it, right? Everybody has messed with this caramel macchiato, right? It's tainted as far as any prevention of germs or anything like that. So you don't need to hand it to me in the coffee mug. It feels ridiculous to me. Yeah. I saw like a photo on Facebook some time ago of a guy eating potato chips with rubber gloves on. It was just kind of like, this obviously doesn't make sense.
If people knew,
but
people, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people do, but if people knew when they go, especially probably fast food, but in general, even high star quality restaurants, if you go out to eat, there's a lot of people that have touched your food with their bare hands or stuck their finger in the sauce or whatever, like people in the back when you're cooking or you're doing, like, you just, you do things like that and nobody ever really knows it, and it's just kind of how it goes.
Or when you're working your shift at Qdoba or Chipotle or whatever, you don't necessarily not sneeze during your shift. So
no, but I did try to do my best to be clean, to change my gloves, to wipe down everything, like do as best I could to wash my hands every time. But there was literally people that would go, and you have on these plastic gloves that you're supposed to use, right? So you don't touch things with your bare hands a lot of times. So they go in the back and then they like do some work and they just keep the plastic gloves on the whole time. And they like maybe wash like a pan, keep those plastic gloves on, come back. Yeah.
Clean a toilet, whatever.
Come back. and then, make rice and touch some pans and then, grab some meat off the grill and cut it and all this stuff. And you just have the same gloves on. And it's like, I don't think you really understand the purpose of the gloves.
Yeah, and not everybody probably understands, Seth, but before your days in the mission field, you did do a stint at Chipotle.
2 years.
And you were kind of a master. You were a master burrito maker. Are you digging our theme music? Well, we dig it too. You can check out more Jane Gillman music at her website, janegillman.com, or you can download some of her music to your playlist on iTunes. That's GILLMAN.
So Tears is actually unless you're
a record.
I know. So actually, it's fun because when I go back to Wichita, if we go to the store that I worked in Wichita, I worked in Lincoln and then I transferred to Kansas. And when I go back to Wichita, there's still, at least the last time I was there, there's still a couple of managers that I knew. But yeah, it's unless you're a manager, basically, it's really high. I mean, just in restaurant businesses in general, unless you're like a manager or it's like a high quality, restaurant where you're actually paid well as a cook, then there's a lot of turnover. But I did. I think in Wichita, I worked there for a year and a half after I transferred, and I think I was the only, at least the only non-manager, I think, who was still there, had been there the whole time. Yeah, it's a lot of turnover. But because I was there for a while, I got to basically get good at everything, that you can there. And that was fun. Mixing it up, working up front, working in the back, being a cook. And I gained a lot of respect because you actually get to see the kind of quality in the food and stuff they use. And so a lot of people don't like going back to the places they worked at, or they get tired of the food. I pretty much go back to Chipotle at least once every time.
So I just ate there on Saturday, and they had gone to, you couldn't go through the line anymore. You had to order your food on the app, and then you just waited for
a drone.
the hundreds of people to touch your food in the back as you watch them touch your food, and then they would give it to you in a bag, and then you would ask for silverware and napkins and all the things. So yeah, it was quite the experience, but it was good. It was still very good. We don't have Chipotle in our area. We have some Qdobas, but Qdobas are not Chipotle.
No.
They're just not. It's not the same.
Not the same, man. It's like,
but
no, yeah, it's not quite the same. There's a lot of
yeah.
What do you want to say? There's a lot of posers out there.
Right. Yeah, there are.
But,
yeah. So I feel like we should just say Jesus. If you tuned in today wanting to hear about Jesus, I want to say his name. Just so you feel like you got your money's worth, which was $0.
Zero big ones.
But zero big ones, yeah. We haven't necessarily dove into any spiritual conversation necessarily.
All things.
But I think was it Augustine that said all truth is God's truth?
We can go with that.
I think so, and so yeah, I believe that God probably would enjoy my brownies if it was God in the form of Jesus sitting here, and we were making brownies. I think he would appreciate my brownies, and we could maybe drink some milk with him, and then he might turn my milk into wine for post brownies. I don't know. I don't know what might happen there.
I'm not gonna lie, that does not sound appealing. Like if someone turned my milk into wine, I would be skeptical. Like water into wine. Okay, it's like easy. That's
one thing.
Transition
milk
to get
into
your
wine.
mind around. Water into wine, milk into wine. I picture this milky
wine. Yeah. But I mean, if Jesus made it, you're like, okay, Jesus, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. Be like, Jesus, this was very, very creative. It's like when your children do something that was just totally off the wall, and you're like, oh yes, that's interesting.
Great.
So, yeah. This might catch on as a post-dessert wine.
But just in case, let's just keep this between us.
Yeah. Don't continue to do this at parties.
Water's fine.
Water works, but the milk, I don't know. It's a stretch. It's a stretch.
Maybe you could do the miracle before it comes out of the udders of the cow, and then you don't even just straight to wine.
So you could just have like a wine cow.
Yeah, one of those like
cow.
Dark, those like kind of dark brown red. What are those cows?
This is my Merlot cow. Yeah, okay. That would be...
it would be the freshest wine in the world.
Yeah, that would... Oh, my word, yeah. Yeah, so...
Yeah, so Jesus,
but,
he definitely could do that. He's capable. And with enough faith.
Now, would the wine ferment in the cow, though? Because you know what they say about new versus old wineskins. This is a biblical thing. You don't use old wineskins for new wine because it'll blow up, basically. And so would the cow only be good for one round of wine? I don't know. Wouldn't that be something to have cattle out in the pasture blowing up? Just like exploding. It's like, oh, we were trying to make new wine in an old wineskin there.
I have... Okay.
There went my Merlot cow.
Oh man! Yes.
So
Daryl.
Yeah.
Daryl, we're gonna have to head to the auction. Just Lost another Chardonnay.
Yeah, but Jesus would be able to do the thing that every kid has always wanted, which is just a straight chocolate milk cow. That would be, kids would love Jesus. Kids love Jesus. I think you're watching The Chosen right now, aren't you? Yeah. And it definitely paints Jesus as a super big hit with kids in that show. And I think that probably was true because Jesus... wow, that's a
J to the E.
Jesus. Because Jesus was very creative. He had a creative mind. I would imagine Jesus as being a very fun person to be around, and he would just constantly be having very creative thoughts. Obviously thought outside the box a ton. But for children, man, what a wonderful man he must have been to be around for children. I can
just imagine the story time, like story time with Jesus. It'd be incredible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, his parables were incredible. What would his children's stories be like? So, talking about creation and his father creating creation, and wow, that'd be cool. So, yeah. Jesus, best children's pastor ever.
I wonder, was there Uncle Jesus? Like, did he have nephews and nieces at the time that he knew? That's interesting. I mean,
I'm sure. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he had to.
Because I don't know. I guess but he was the oldest, though, right? Yeah, he would have been.
Yeah.
So maybe
he was the oldest. But absolutely, because in those days you got married at a young age. I mean, as soon as you're like going through puberty, you're probably married. So his brothers, sisters, whatever he had, I don't know exactly the extent of his family.
That's just I guess it's just a cool thought, like Uncle Jesus, like he's going to take you fishing.
Uncle Jesus.
Or whatever,
Yeah.
It's interesting, yeah. I would love, I wish there was kind of like how some of these, amazing creative writers will people just fall in love so much with their work that they then write I don't know J.R. Tolkien wrote that whole book, The Silmarillion or whatever it's called, just about the backstory or the background or whatever, the history. And I think also what's her name, the Harry Potter author has kind of, I think, done different things kind of connected to Harry Potter and given you more of a big picture of this world. I wish there was one of those guys like John or Peter had been I'm going to come out with, I'm going to give you guys a glimpse into these 2 years of Jesus as Uncle Jesus before he started his ministry or something. Yeah.
Behind the scenes, what it was like. Yeah, what it was like.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So here's something interesting. Speaking of crazy stuff that Jesus did, there's this dude named Lazarus, right? That Jesus raised from the dead after being dead for 4 days. Okay. So his body was beginning to decompose already. And anyway, so the Eastern Orthodox Church, I just had to research this a little while ago for my CPE class. The Eastern Orthodox Church celebrates Lazarus Saturday.
Wow.
And that was an interesting little bit of research. One of the lines that is attributed to Lazarus post his own resurrection is he witnessed a person stealing a clay pot or something. And it is said that he very rarely smiled, if ever, didn't really laugh. And he was very somber post-resurrection. And so his comment when he saw this person stealing a clay pot was clay stealing clay. And then he chuckled to himself and said clay stealing clay, and that was the only recorded time of him laughing. And he's attributed as being kind of like a bishop of the early church. Wow. So, but yeah, that is interesting though.
And that was in one of your classes you just recently had, or a book that you had to read?
So we always had some other traditions, holidays so as they would hit the calendar, one of us would research a holiday. We'd kind of pick one. And so every other week we would talk about whatever it happened to be at the time. And so I was able to choose Lazarus Saturday, which sounded intriguing to me. I'm not Eastern Orthodox. And they have a little bit of a different liturgical calendar too, so it actually precedes Jesus' own resurrection. So our own celebration of Jesus' resurrection, it's like the week before. So like before Good Friday. But their calendar is a little later than ours, so we actually celebrate it earlier. But
that's kind of that's neat.
Hey guys, it's Seth. Some of you might be wondering, I wish there was a way to follow these guys and what they're up to. Well, I don't know if you heard about a little thing called the internet. That's right. If you check us out at twitter.com/WeWillJourney1, you'll be able to keep updated on what we're up to and maybe some future interviews or projects we're working on. Catch you later.
It makes me want to kind of research some of the holidays that we have here, because there's a lot of holidays where you might get off work or there's no school. And generally, Catholic holidays, and a lot of people don't seem to know really what they're all about. It's just kind of tradition,
Why do we have the day off today? I'm not really sure, but we've never complained, not once.
Better not ask. Don't want to start anything.
Yeah, we don't want this to go away.
But yeah, I mean, obviously there's people that celebrate, a number of them, but a lot of just whatever average person you talk to doesn't know exactly. And so that'd be kind of a cool thing to take some time and look at, because I mean, right now in May, for example, there's a lot of these holidays going on. I mean, obviously towards the end this year, Pentecost is towards the end of May, I think. And that's a big one, where you get school off. But then there's some other ones which I'm really not very familiar with. There's different ones that have to do with Mary or with Mary's Ascension.
Yeah. I wrote up a service for the Pentecost, because in the evangelical tradition we don't celebrate Pentecost, and so for one of my classes that I did, I actually wrote several different services, and one of them was Pentecost. And it would be fun to actually implement that somewhere sometime.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's always a highlight for me, because we do a youth conference every year at Pentecost, and it's called basically in German it's called the Pentecost youth meeting.
Tongues of fire.
Or whatever.
That's what you should call that retreat.
They changed it
Tongues
actually
of
a few
fire.
back to All In. Now it's called All In. I guess it's not as much of a mouthful when you're saying it or describing it. But so I mean, it's usually a highlight for me, and that's one I kind of keep track of because of that reason, obviously. But a lot of them, celebrate different saints, or it have something to do with Mary or whatnot. So it would be good. That's good. I'm glad you kind of mentioned that, because it makes me want to do some more research and not instigating. What do you say? Instigating. Investigating.
Investigating.
Exactly.
Instigating is more like if you ask the questions about the holidays. Why do we celebrate this? That would be, it's like, should we really be getting the day off of school? That would be more instigating.
That would make all Austrians love me if I go and be like, I'll go to the higher ups.
Can you imagine the news headlines? American makes us lose day off work.
American questions the validity of getting off work for Saint.
Validity of what's the that scary person, that scary creature that
Campus?
eats children? Campus, yeah. American.
Should we be getting off of school because of Campus? Up next.
So scary monsters can threaten children.
Up next on Dateline. Deep dive. Yeah. No, I'm not going to do any instigating. Necessarily.
You're not going to instigate. You may investigate.
Investigate the origins.
Yeah. Well, thank God for Wikipedia, because investigating is so much easier. Now, who knows what you're reading, if it's very factual or not, but it is there.
There's some dangers.
Yeah.
With that one.
There are some dangers.
But anymore, I don't know. Yeah, to me, almost like the whole internet is Wikipedia. You know what I mean? Like, do you have that feeling that's like, if you just look up something on the internet, it's kind of, you got to take it with a grain of salt?
No, I mean, I feel like, so when I researched that last thing, for example, Lazarus Saturday, I did go to some more denominational sites. Mm-hmm. And Wikipedia obviously did pop up, and I took a quick glance at it. But most of my research came from an actual Eastern Orthodox denomination that was able to explain their actual tradition and why they celebrated it, and which I actually found that pretty interesting, because it was kind of like a pre-resurrection celebration to Jesus' own resurrection. Yeah. So it built on the theme of resurrection and celebration, which I found that to be really neat. I thought that is cool, to kind of begin the party, so to speak, with here's one resurrection, and now here's the greatest resurrection of all. So it's kind of like building towards the climax, So
a pre-party party.
But yeah, pre-party party.
It's like New Year's Eve of the resurrection.
Anyways. Yeah. Well, hey man, I hate to cut us off. We're definitely we talked about talking about WandaVision, but we never talked about WandaVision.
Well, WandaVision, Brownies, Lazarus.
But that was your brother's idea, and so we didn't go down that rabbit hole.
We got stuck. We got stuck in the rabbit hole of delicious brownies and cheesecake, man.
Delicious food and cheese and melting cheese and all the wonders, the wonders of melting things and baking things. So, and we did look up your, is it called
raclette?
The raclette? Raclette. Yeah, raclette. It can be purchased on Amazon for 4 easy payments of $19.99, and you get the cheese, you get the Gouda, and you get the butter knife with your initials written in permanent marker.
And you can contact us at We Will Journey 1 at Gmail. Dang it. Wait, no.
I think so. We will journey. .connect at gmail.
Exactly. I was setting you up.
Yeah. We Will Journey 1 Twitter is our Twitter handle. Is that what they call it? A Twitter handle?
Handle with caution.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So, anyways, but I gotta get to work, man. So I love you. It was great connecting with you again. I also gave a message yesterday.
Oh wow!
So I will be editing that as well. And so if you're listening, we'll be posting a message shortly after this conversation, so you can check that out too.
All right, catch you later, man.
All right, thank you.
The mystery of oceans deep, the colors of the sky and trees, the endlessness of universe could never be explained. The closest look at molecules, the farthest sight at mountaintops, the thought of steps at strangest stars beyond the human mind. Monkey man and machine, monkey man and machine. This is all I came here to see. Ain't that just a little bit mommy? This is all I came here to see. Ain't that just a little bit mommy? Logic makes me burst out of gravity, which leaves me with no place to be. The deepest breath with stubborn hope, the truth inside the wildest dream. Believing in reality was written in the core. The sweetest kiss of lovers' lips, the penetrating view of hearts. The universe of being me was made in you, my life. Monkey man and machine, monkey man and machine. This is all I came here to see. Ain't that just a little bit mommy? This is all I came here to see. Ain't that just a little bit mommy? Logic makes me burst out of gravity, which leaves me with no place to be. This is all I came here to see. Ain't that just a little bit mommy? This is all I came here to see. Ain't that just a little bit mommy? Logic makes me burst out of gravity. Logic makes me burst out of gravity. Logic makes me burst out of gravity, which leaves me with no place to be. The hiding and the seeking and the finding and the being and the taste and the size of each thing. The yearning and the glory and the theaters and the story and the substance of life is divine.